They say you never forget it. A sound, a faint, low hum, almost like the world is holding its breath. You don't know where it comes from. You just know it's there, and it feels wrong. Some describe it as a distant rumble, others as a deep vibration that crawls through your bones. But the one thing they all agree on is this. Once you hear it, something terrible is about to happen. They call it the murmur of Thanatos. You won't find scientific studies about it. You won't see it in the news. But across forgotten forums, buried threads, and late-night confessions, the pattern emerges. People who have come face to face with death often mention the same eerie phenomenon. A low, almost inaudible frequency that arrives without warning and disappears just as suddenly. It's always there. Right before the moment, everything changes, like a whisper from the void. A man driving home late at night hears it just seconds before a car swerves into his lane. A woman sitting alone in her apartment feels the low rumble moments before the building next door collapses. A child hears it while playing, then runs inside crying, just before a tree crashes down where she stood. Coincidence? That's what they want you to think. Some believe it's just the mind under stress, amplifying natural sounds and turning them into imagined omens. Others insist it's real, a frequency outside human comprehension, something that doesn't just signal danger, but summons it. And then there are those who go even further. They believe the sound isn't just a warning. They believe it's a calling. They say animals can hear it more clearly. Dogs barking at nothing, cats frozen, staring at a wall, birds fleeing an area moments before disaster strikes. To them, the sound isn't subtle, it's a scream. There's a story about a hiker in the Alps, alone. No wind, no movement, just the soft crunch of snow under his boots. He stops. Something feels off. Then he hears it, like the earth itself is groaning. Not loud, but deep. It rattles his chest, not his ears. His dog starts howling, then bolts into the trees. Moments later, a sheet of snow breaks loose behind him. An avalanche swallows the path he had just crossed. He survived. Barely. But he never forgot that sound, and he never saw his dog again. Theories began to appear online in the early 2000s. Scattered reports, whispers, and message boards. They called it the death tone, the last note, or simply it. Some claim the military had studied it and found it to be an infrasonic wave, too low for most humans to consciously detect, but powerful enough to trigger fear, nausea, and even hallucinations. Others weren't so sure. Some users wrote about hearing it before tragedies that weren't random, before shootings, before suicides, before acts of violence that seemed premeditated. They started asking, what if this sound isn't natural at all? What if it's being transmitted somewhere deep underground? Or from satellites we're not supposed to know exist? Maybe it's a signal, a trigger for something else entirely. Maybe when you hear it, you're not just hearing a warning. You're being marked. Marked for what? That's where things get darker. Because in some stories, people heard the sound, and nothing happened, not immediately. They went home, ate dinner, laughed with friends. Then, days, sometimes weeks later, the accident came. The diagnosis, the disappearance, like a slow-moving shadow that had already chosen its target. They weren't just marked. They were hunted. There's a post that surfaced years ago, deep in an archived forum. The user called themselves Echo Observer. No profile picture, no links. Just one post. It read, "I heard it last night." The sound. It was low, steady. My windows rattled, but the wind was still. My dog started barking, then hid under the bed. I don't know what it is, but I know it was meant for me. I feel like something is watching me, waiting. If anything happens, remember this. The sound comes first. No one heard from Echo Observer again. Some users tried to trace the IP address. It led nowhere. Another story comes from a woman in Japan. She was on a train when everything stopped. Not the train itself, but time almost. She described it as the world holding its breath. Then she heard the hum. Everyone else seemed oblivious. She looked around. No one moved. No one reacted. Later that day, she collapsed on the street. A rare brain aneurysm. The doctor said she should have died instantly, but she didn't. She woke up in the hospital, confused, terrified. And the sound? She said she still hears it in her dreams. Louder now, closer. Theories online grew more frantic. Some people began obsessing, recording white noise, analyzing ambient sounds, looking for a pattern. They claimed the tone always hit the same frequency, 17 hertz, a frequency the human ear can't fully perceive, but the body can't feel. The so-called frequency of fear. Science acknowledges this phenomenon. Sounds in that range have been shown to cause anxiety, unease, and even sightings of shadowy figures in the corners of your vision. But what happens when that sound isn't random? What if it's targeted? Some conspiracists believe we're part of an experiment, that certain people are chosen, exposed, monitored. The hum is just step one. What comes next is the observation. And maybe the harvest. Because others say the sound doesn't come from our world at all, that it's leaking in. Some say the sound is a byproduct, like static bleeding through the cracks of dimensions, that whatever exists on the other side isn't trying to warn us, it's trying to reach us. There's a disturbing theory known as resonant convergence. According to fringe physicists and deep web researchers, everything, every living thing, every object, every moment has a frequency. When two frequencies align, a doorway opens. Not physical, not something you can walk through, but something worse, something that walks through you. These people believe the hum is the frequency of another place, one not meant for human senses, a place where time behaves differently, where thoughts don't belong to you, where death isn't the end, but the beginning of observation. There's a case that's rarely talked about. A man in Norway, alone in his cabin, recorded a constant tone that played in his house for weeks. He described feeling watched, even when the house was empty. He covered mirrors, blocked windows. He slept in the basement with his ears covered. Then the recording stopped. Authorities found his camera still running. The last footage shows the man staring into the lens, not speaking, not blinking, just staring. And in the background, that low, impossible hum, the kind that makes your stomach twist, the kind that makes you want to run without knowing why. People say it's a warning, that hearing it means something has noticed you. But what if that's not it at all? What if hearing it means you're already inside? You didn't notice the door open. You just woke up on the wrong side, and everything still feels normal until it doesn't. Until you start seeing the shadows move when no one else does. Until you start feeling the air thicken around you. Until you hear the sound again, and this time it's louder. And this time it knows your name. They say the sound chooses who hears it. Not everyone can. Not everyone should. It's not just about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's about being seen, not by people, not by cameras, but by something that exists between the ticks of the clock. Something ancient, something patient. And once it sees you, it never looks away. One Redditor claimed he heard the sound every time he was about to fall asleep. Just a faint hum at first. Then it grew, night after night, until he couldn't sleep at all. He stayed awake for 3 days, terrified of what would happen if he let go. On the 4th night, he disappeared. His last message simply read, "It's not outside. It's inside now." You see, the real terror isn't the sound itself. It's what follows. The accidents, the losses, the quiet unraveling of a life that once made sense. And through it all, the tone lingers. In the distance, in your bones, in your dreams. Some wear headphones to drown it out. Others record silence over and over, hoping to catch it again, to prove they're not crazy, that it was real. But most never speak of it again. They move on, haunted. Because deep down, they know the truth. You don't survive the sound. You escape it, if you're lucky. And if you're hearing this now, if something in the silence feels too heavy, if your ears are ringing and nothing seems out of place, ask yourself one question. Are you hearing it? Or has it already heard you?